You're not that bright, are you? No wonder you believe in a God. Never mind.
I'm not bright. The Lord Jesus is bright, and He's trying to shine light into your heart right now.
Right. Okay. Plants are not sentient. They have no capacity to experience anything.
Says who? Says you?
Says reality.
Now, you say reality. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Define reality. Define reality.
Define reality. Things
what
that
happen
in real life.
In real life? So you say, how about correspondence theory of truth? Do you believe that truth corresponds to reality? I just want to see if your rational skills are working. Does truth correspond to reality?
Yeah.
It does? So you agree with that definition?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you this. If truth corresponds to reality, how do you know what's real?
Well, I experience it in a subjective way.
So you're saying truth is dependent upon your subjective reasoning? Or is truth what's real? So I can say, so basically truth is an arbitrary belief. So that's what you're saying.
No, it's not odd. No, I didn't. Why are you putting words in my mouth?
You said it's your subjective opinion or belief.
That doesn't make it arbitrary.
It is arbitrary. Because I can say the same thing, and you got no way of differentiating what's true and false. Because it's all subjective.
Yeah, things happen. I mean, for things to be subjective only means that you need a subject to experience them. Now, things can happen objectively, like
that's
gravity.
Wrong. That's wrong. I disagree. You're speaking of objectivity.
No, I'm not. For example, I'm drinking this rum here. I'm experiencing this subjectively.
You may not be, right? You may not be.
Why won't you let me finish?
Oh, go ahead.
Right. We're experiencing this conversation subjectively. Me and you are in it, yeah? And we're subjects and we're experiencing this. Now, if me and you weren't subjects, this conversation wouldn't be happening. Now,
you're using the definition of...
I haven't finished. If a meteorite hit the Earth and there was no life on Earth, now that would be an objective truth. Yeah? You wouldn't need a subject to experience it. So therefore, it wouldn't be happening subjectively. No one would experience it subjectively.
Really quick. Subjectively means, or subjectivity means, the quality of being based on or influenced by personal feelings, tastes, or opinions. There it is. Opinions.
Precisely.
So
I don't know how you can.
No, we're talking about truth, not opinion. And you just defined reality as your opinion. So it's just based upon your own arbitrary opinions and beliefs. That's what I just said. How come listen to what I'm saying. I asked you, what is truth? Does truth correspond to reality? You said, yeah. So I said, how do you know it's real? You said, based upon my subjective opinion.
No, subjective reality.
Reality isn't subjective. That's a paradox. Reality is either true or it's not.
Reality is
objectively true or it's not true.
It can be both.
That's a contradiction.
No, it's not.
Can I have this mouse in my hand and out of my hand at the same time in the same way?
That's a false question.
No, that's what you're saying, and that's what your premise is false.
No.
Reality
subjectively it is in your hand, and objectively it is in your hand as well. If you weren't a subject, if no other subjects are on this earth, it would be objectively in your hand. And only to you, if you were the only subject, it would be subjectively to you in your hand.
That's objectively true. Because it would be true for anybody else. It'd be universally true. Anybody that looks at it in my hand can say that's in my hand. You disagree?
Maybe not. No, actually, maybe you're right.
Subjectively true for me, it would be a contradiction if I have this in my hand and somebody else says, hey, I objectively see a mouse in your hand. And I say, no, if I subjectively have a mouse in my hand, that would be a contradiction. So everybody can see that's around me looking at the mouse that it's objectively true that it's in my hand.
Okay. What's your point?
Okay, really quick. Could you be wrong about everything you claim to know?
Yes.
Be careful. Could you be wrong about everything you claim to know?
Yes. Could you?
No, I can't. You see, we're talking about everything. Everything you claim to know, you're wrong. You could be wrong about everything you claim to know. It follows you know nothing. You're giving up knowledge, friend. It follows you know nothing.
No. I'm just saying there's a possibility. You know, you understand, like, I could be 99% sure that I'm holding this glass in my hand. Or I could be in a dream world where I'm not doing that.
99% isn't absolute certainty. So you don't know. You could be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
That's the point. You could be wrong. So it follows you know nothing.
No, it doesn't follow
If you're
nothing.
dealing with percentages of truth, then it follows you know nothing. Any percentage means you could be wrong. It doesn't matter if you're 99, doesn't matter if you're 99.9. You could be wrong.
Right. This is a little bollocks, man. Right.
I'm 100% certain I have this mouse in my hand. Are you 100% certain that I have a mouse in my hand?
Well, you could just be a simulation in my mind, and you might not be real.
Okay, so you have a problem with reality. So you don't know you're living in the right reality right now. So
I don't have a problem with reality. You just struggle with hypotheticals.
Okay, does truth correspond to reality, yes or no?
Does truth correspond with reality?
Is truth what's real? Is truth what's real? Yes or no? I disagree with it. Give me your correspondence theory of truth if you disagree with that one.
Is truth? Yeah. Truth is real, yeah.
Okay, so if truth corresponds to reality, then how do you know what's real? We're going to hit it one more time. We'll see if you're consistent. Okay, you're frozen up on me. What did you just say?
Deductive reasoning.
You know what's real by deductive reasoning. Is that how you know what's real? So do you use deductive reasoning on everything you do in your life every day?
Well, I'm assuming most things are how I perceive them, yes.
Okay, so you believe them by blind faith, because that's what assumptions are.
No. You don't understand what deductive reasoning if you just make that comment.
Define assumptions. Things that are taken by blind faith.
I didn't say I'm making assumptions. I said I'm using deductive reasoning.
Okay, how do you account for the laws of deductive reasoning? You know, induction. How do you account for that as far as your world?
Well, we can look at things. We can say, all right, well, this bottle is made out of glass. Okay. I've seen glass bottle smash on the floor. I'll drop it. I'm going to use my deductive reasoning that it's going to smash. The same way if I say, oh, there's an animal there. I've seen someone kick a dog before. I've used my deductive reasoning to see that it's felt pain. Therefore, if I kick another dog, I know that it more than likely is going to feel pain. So, the way I can say, with deductive reasoning, I can say, well, I'm in my mind, I'm experiencing things. I can say,
but
with that reasoning,
experiences, though, right?
With that, sure, anyone could be wrong in anything. You could be a fucking simulation in a computer. You could be the only person in this reality.
Well, see,
you want to get that deep?
I can. That's the difference. I have a validation for my reasoning. God reveals things to me in such a way I can know them for certain.
It was wrong in a whole book.
I have a validation. I have epistemology. You don't. You could be wrong about everything you claim to know. You don't even know if you're living in the right reality. You just said you could be in a matrix right now.
Well, I think, so could you.
No. See, if you can't know anything, you can't know what I know. That's the problem. You don't see the fallacy of what you're doing right now. If you can't know anything, you've given up knowledge.
It's not a fallacy, though, is it?
So you don't know what reality you're in. You can't know what truth is, because if truth corresponds to reality,
yes, we
then
use
you can't know what
reasoning.
truth is.
We use deductive reasoning to come with truths.
But you have to use your reasoning when using deductive reasoning. Can you validate your reasoning?
Yeah, of course I can. I've just explained it.
How do you validate your reasoning?
How do I validate my reasoning?
Just the mechanism of reasoning. How do you validate it?
I've just explained it. For example, if I drop a glass bottle on the floor,
okay.
I've seen a glass bottle drop on the floor before and break.
Is it true you have to employ your senses when judging if a glass bottle is dropped on the ground?
Employ my what?
You use your senses, right? When doing that?
Yeah, that's the only way I can. Yeah, it's the only way I can, yeah.
Okay, now, is it true that you have to employ your reasoning when judging your senses?
I have to employ... What, sorry, say that again?
I asked you to validate your reasoning. You said I can see it with my eyes. I drop a bottle on the ground. But you have to use your reasoning when judging your senses, so you're justifying your reasoning with your reasoning, that complete vicious circle right there. It's called invalid reasoning.
Yeah, this is subjective, yeah. This is what we're going back to. It's all subjective.
You're justifying your reasoning with your reasoning, and that's okay. Vicious circularity is okay with you.
No. I'm not justifying my reasoning with my reasoning. That's a retarded statement.
Okay, well, validate your reasoning then.
What do you mean validate my reasoning? I have to validate the experience of knowing glass smashes. Are you brain dead?
Aren't we about to reason right now with one another? If you have invalid reasoning, this wouldn't be productive right now. So I'm asking you to validate your reasoning. I can validate mine. So can you validate your reasoning? Because you can't know anything to be true. You can't even validate your own reasoning.
I've explained it in how I do it in a subjective manner.
Oh, so validate your reasoning with your reasoning. That's how you explain that to me.
Yes.
Okay. So logical fallacies like that are okay. Vicious circularity. You agree with that, right?
That's not a logical fallacy. That's
so
like saying
the sky's blue because the sky's blue. That's you right now. I justify my reasoning because I justify my reasoning.
Okay, you're being a bit fallacious here. Right, the sky is blue because I'm experiencing it subjectively to be blue. Now, is that true or not? That's basically what you're saying to me.
You have to use your reasoning when judging the sky. So you're still stuck in circular reasoning. But I ask you, you reason that the sky's blue. How do you know the sky's blue? How do you know the sky's blue?
All I know is what I see, and I'm subjectively seeing it as blue.
That's all you know?
With regards to what colour the sky is.
You have to use your reasoning when judging what your eyesight sees, right? Do you have to use your reasoning when judging what you look at?
Yeah.
So you justify your reasoning with your reasoning. You're stuck in circular, vicious reasoning.
You're an idiot.
You can say that. You can't know it. You can't know I'm an idiot. You can't know anything.
Well,
you just agree. You can't know anything.
With deductive reasoning.
I mean, ad hominem attack.
What is your point? No,
it's not attacking me. You can't counter the argument.
So no, I already have.
This is circularity.
No, I already have.
So you got a name call.
Oh, I already have.
I'm asking you, how do you get out of a circle? How do you get out of a circle?
What are you on about the circle? Right, I've already explained my whole thing, reason of why the sky is blue. I'm subjectively seeing it as blue. It's as simple as that.
You subjectively see it's blue, but you got to use your reasoning when judging if it's blue, right? So validate your reasoning.
Well, I don't know what kind of point you're trying to make. I mean,
the point is that you can't say anything is true at all, which means you're going to make truth claims right now while you're talking to me, and you can't know those things to be true. Because you can't even validate your reasoning. If you can't validate your reasoning, how do you know what truth is? If you can't know what truth is, don't debates like this presuppose knowledge and truth? So pretty much everything you're saying is arbitrary and meaningless. There we go. That's the point.
Dude, right. You've made a non-point there. Right.
You validate your reasoning? You still didn't validate your reasoning.
Right, I don't have to validate the colour of the sky, you moron.
Hey, come on, man.
I'm sorry, I apologise. Everyone will apologise.
I'm just asking you, how do you get out of the vicious circularity of justifying your reasoning?
I don't even know what that is.
Okay, I'll tell you how I validate my reasoning. God has revealed things to me in such a way I can know them for certain. So I can know things that are certainly true and things that I can learn later that I can judge whether they're certainly true. But you can't. You have no epistemology.
Right. How do you know, though? I'll do the same thing you've been doing to me. How do you know?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand what you said.
How do you know?
Because God reveals things. Let me ask you this. Is it impossible for the Christian God to reveal things to me in such a way I can know them for certain? Is it impossible?
Yes.
Listen up. You have to prove a universal negative now, friend. You got to give me that empirical evidence that you so love.
I'm just going to use deductive reasoning and say if you're talking to God, you're probably insane and no one should listen to you.
That's not empirical evidence.
Doesn't have to be. It's inductive reasoning.
So you're saying it's impossible for the Christian God to reveal things to me in such a way I can know them for certain?
Supernatural things don't exist.
Okay, prove that. You make it an objective statement.
Prove to me my God doesn't exist. My God is a transsexual sissy boy that likes to sleep with me at night.
Now remember, I want to see the evidence.
Where's your evidence?
Where's
your evidence?
No. You're the one that made the objective claim. I didn't make any objective claims. You said it's impossible.
You've made an objective claim.
I said, is it possible? I didn't say an objective claim. I said, is it possible? You said it's impossible. Now you made an objective claim. You got to prove your objective claim.
No, you made an objective claim.
You
said God exists and speaks to me.
Many logical fallacies here, buddy. Many logical fallacies.
What? What logical fallacy?
You are avoiding giving proof when you make an objective claim.
I'm not. It was an analogy to expose your absurdity, you idiot.
Come on, don't call me an idiot. I'm not calling you any names.
Sorry.
Okay, look, is it impossible? I'm going to ask you one more time, because if you say it's impossible, I'm going to ask you to prove it evidentially, empirically. Is it impossible?
I can't improve the supernatural.
Is it impossible? Okay, so answer the question logically. Is it impossible for the Christian God to reveal things to me in such a way I can know them for certain? Is it impossible?
I think it is.
Well, I'm not asking you
what you think.
I'm asking you, is it impossible?
I think it's impossible, yes. I think it's impossible because I don't believe in fairy tales.
Okay, really quick. You have to prove that empirically. Because if you can prove a universal negative, you got to give me universal proof.
Okay, I will. Okay.
God.
I'll explain to you why.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. I'm not going to explain why, but I'm gonna bring an analogy here, and then I'm going to say you have to explain for me. I don't know, we've already done this and you said give me the evidence, but your evidence isn't sufficient for me. So I want to know why the evidence what I'm saying is, explain to me why my transsexual she-god that sleeps with me every night doesn't exist. Now, if you can't do that for me, then I have no reasonable explanation to explain to you why your little sky wizard doesn't exist for you.
Okay, now, I would say your claim would be correct if you didn't make the objective claim that it was impossible for the Christian God to reveal things to me in such a way I can know them for certain. If you claimed the possibility, then you would be off the hook. But you claimed impossible. No. You got to give me the evidence. So the burden of proof is on you, buddy. When you say something is impossible,
let me rephrase that. I don't think it's a certainty that they don't exist. I just think it's incredibly unlikely that a God doesn't exist.
So anyway, are you saying... No, hold on. We're moving on. We're backsliding.
You brought me into this Christian debate. I don't want to talk about
you're backsliding. This is good.
I want to talk about you stabbing animals.
Good stuff. It's good stuff. So this is good stuff.
You stabbing animals.
Is it possible for the Christian God to reveal things to me in such a way I can know them for certain? Is it possible?
Well, I don't think so. I mean, what do you want from me? I don't think ghosts exist. I don't think vampires exist.
Okay,
I don't think my transsexual lover doesn't exist. I mean,
so we're not going to get anywhere. Are you claiming impossibility again? Is it impossible for the Christian God to reveal things to me in such a way I can know them for certain?
It's highly unlikely.
No,
Yes.
I'm not asking that. I'm asking impossibility. Is it impossible?
Well, if I say it's highly unlikely, that implies it's not impossible, but it's highly unlikely.
I didn't ask that. I said, is it impossible? Is it impossible?
Well, I'll give you your answer, and I've specified.
So you are claiming possibility now.
It's possible, yes. It's highly unlikely, however.
Was that hard? It wasn't hard to do that. Okay? So I now have a possible avenue to certainty that I can know things to be true, I can rationalize and know things 100% to be true. Now, what do you have to validate your reasoning? And what we did before was
my reasoning
justified your reasoning with your reasoning. And that's the point. And you can't know anything because you just gave up knowledge when you said I could be wrong about everything I claim to know. And you should say, well, I could be wrong about everything.
I think you could be wrong on anything. I think anyone could be wrong on anything. Yeah, well,
say it again.
I kind of think you're already set in your ways. So no matter what I say, no matter what news I bring to you, your brain is just fixated on what you know already. So when I say we could be wrong on anything, I mean, I don't know if you've explored this, but, you know, for all you know, you're the only person alive. And we're all just figments of your imagination.
The problem is you can't know that because you've given up knowledge.
No one can know about that.
You've given up reality.
Forget about me. Forget about me. Forget about me. I mean, we're talking about you.
You already conceded the possibility that God can reveal things to me in such a way I can know them for certain. So I have an avenue to certainty. You don't. And what I have is a possibility. What you have is an impossibility. You're walking around thinking you're in the Matrix, man. You can see yourself as a lunatic, man. Maybe you need to go to Funny Farm or something. I'm not being funny, man. I'm serious. Let me ask you this question.
I'm not the one who causes harm on other creatures unnecessarily. You are.
The problem is you can't know if you don't cause harm because remember you can't know anything. So you're just giving up. You're defeating your whole argument. You're defeating your whole argument,
right,
man.
You bring up like an absurd sort of point of argumentation, saying, oh well, and I go there and say, yeah, well, you know, anything could be not real or not real, and that, and then you try and use that against me like it's a point.
Come on, man.
It's absolutely.
I'm not being rude to you. I'm not being rude to you at all. I'm just asking you how you validate your reasoning. That's all I asked you. Validate your reasoning.
Well, my reasoning, and I don't care about religion because
I want to be friends.
It's not. I want to be friends with you. I don't care about religion because most people don't believe in that anymore because, you know, it's not 2010. Religion has already been debunked. Anyone who's got any sense doesn't believe in a God anymore. But I want to know why you stab animals when you don't need to. Forget all this. I don't care.
Okay,
I don't care.
Now remember, when
it's
I answer your question,
it's nonsense. I believe in vampires. Prove me wrong.
When I answer your question, you're going to have to take it in the light of my worldview because you can't know anything in your worldview. So you got to step in a Christian worldview. So you're going to be taking the fact that God reveals things to you in such a way that you can know them for certain in the light of my answer. Okay, so you kind of folded on your worldview. You folded on logic and reason. You folded on truth.
No, I
haven't. Folded on reality.
No, I haven't. Stop strawmanning me.
See, the problem is you can't know that. You've given up knowledge. You validated your reason.
No, I haven't.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem.
Here's the problem. You keep strawmanning me because I said
give me a chance to
no one knows anything for sure.
Let me explain. Let me explain. If you'd be kind enough to let me explain, if you validate your reasoning with your reasoning, how do you know that somebody else can't come along and validate their reasoning with their reasoning? How do you know who's right and who's wrong? You don't. So you have to have something outside of your reasoning that validates your reasoning.
What are you on about?
Do you not understand? Is it over your head? Come on, you're the smart one. You're supposed to be the smart one here.
Oh, yeah, man, I'm not smart.
Okay, well, I was trying to explain it to you, and you're just like, you're not even listening anymore. You're just cursing.
Well, you brought because you felt defensive about me saying, why are you stabbing animals when you don't need to? And then you brought in bloody God existence, where I don't care about that. It's nonsense to me. There's as much evidence for that as...
Because you're making truth claims right now.
It's nonsense for anyone with any amount of sense.
Well, where does sense come from? It comes from God. And that's the point. You have to start with God.
It comes from your brain. You evolved.
Who made the brain?
You don't even believe in evolution? You don't even believe in evolution?
How do you believe in evolution and you put that much faith in a blind faith like that, and there's more faith for biblical Christianity, and you refuse to believe it? There's more.
Evidence.
And you know what? You can't know evidence because in your worldview you can't know anything. So, and then you sit here and you make truth claims because you can't even know anything, and you sit here and make truth claims about my worldview.
You're taking the piss now. Right? I do know things.
But you don't know that. You don't. Everything you say out of your mouth, you don't know that.
Oh my God! Well, I can say the same about
your own reasoning. You can't even validate your own reasoning.
Yes.
Validate it. Validate it.
What exactly do you want me to validate?
How do you know that anything is true, absolutely true? How do you know?
Right. Even if I don't think anything is true, 100% sure, I know my reality is true. Right? I don't know if it's 100% true, but I know if
you don't know if you're living in a matrix.
Well, no one does.
That's reality. That's reality. If you don't know if you're living in the right reality, you don't know what truth is, buddy.
Oh, you're an idiot.
Okay, define truth. Does truth correspond to reality? What's real? Yes or no? And then I ask you what's real. You say I could be in a matrix. If you don't know what reality you're in, you can't know what truth is. It follows. And so the problem is the idiot isn't the person rationalizing. That's all I'm going to say to that. Do you want to validate your reasoning or not?
My reasoning... What? You want me to validate my reasoning that we could be living in a simulation?
Yeah, okay, so you're reasoning that out. How do you know you're living in a simulation? How do you know?
I don't know that.
See, you don't know that. So if you don't know you're living in a simulation, and that's reality, then you can't know what truth is. If you can't know what truth is, why are you still talking if you don't know what truth is? You're going to make truth claims when you open up your mouth.
It'd still be reality.
It's ridiculous. It's arbitrary. Everything you say is arbitrary now.
No. It would be my... If I was living in a simulation, it would be my subjective reality.
The problem is you don't know that because you don't know if you're living in the right reality. So you don't know what truth is.
Tell me how.
If you don't know you're living in the right reality, you can't say what I know.
No.
Because you don't know anything.
You explain to me. No, you explain to me how you're not living in a simulation. Go on.
Okay, well, you conceded the fact that God can reveal things to me in such a way I can know them for certain.
No, I did not concede that. I said it's a possibility.
And I have a possibility for certainty. You don't. What I have is a possibility.
You have a possibility of a possible. It's not a certainty.
The proof that God exists is that without God you can't prove anything. That's the premise. And I just proved it. You can't know anything.
No, you haven't. You can't just straw man me like. You can't just say, "Oh, Vohan thinks that he doesn't know if he's living in a simulation or not. Therefore, everything he says is bollocks."
You said you don't know if you're living in a simulation.
No.
And the problem is you don't live your life that way. You live your life knowing things. You live your life knowing things.
I assume I'm not.
But I ask you to validate your reasoning. You can't do it.
Yes, I can. I have.
How do you validate your reasoning?
Through deductive reasoning.
But you got to use your reasoning when doing deductive reasoning. So you justify your reasoning with your reasoning.
Yes.
You don't see the problem with that? You don't see the problem with that? Vicious circularity? You don't see a problem with that?
I don't even know what vicious circularity is. You have to explain it to me.
I justify my reasoning with my reasoning. That's not viciously circular?
I justify my reasoning with my reasoning.
Guys, I'm not a bright man. I know I'm not a bright man, but I know that's viciously circular. Justify my reasoning with my reasoning. So if I tell you what, I said, why do you believe evolution is true? Because I'm reasoning the evolution is true. So, well, how do you validate your reason? Because I reason it. That's not viciously circular?
No, that's not what I said. You straw man me. Right. I explained my reasoning over and over again, and
but
you're correct. You're not the right man. I mean, that is a ridiculous point. That's like saying, you do realise that? I mean, does anyone else not see this? Right. I've got a bottle.
I can validate my reasoning, and it goes outside of my reasoning. That's why I can validate it. And reasoning is universal, unchanging, and immaterial. Do you agree with that? Reasoning is universal, unchanging, and immaterial. That's how we can tell if we have invalid reasoning. But here's the problem. If you can't validate your reasoning, then how can I believe anything you say to be true?
I can validate my reasoning. I have validated my reasoning.
Okay, validate it. Here we go again, guys. Another repeat.
I've already invalidated it. Look. What? I mean, you can't just say validate your reasoning.
Yes, I can. I need to find out if you have valid reasoning.
Give me an example. Give me an example.
I gave you one. God reveals things to me in such a way I can know them for certain. That's why things are things that you deal with have an absolute standard of truth. You can rationalize things, and universally, we can all come together and rationalize together about certain truths that are absolutely true. And God reveals those things to us. But I'm asking you to validate your reasoning, and you won't give God the glory for your own reasoning. Look, the proof that God exists is that without God, you can't prove anything, and that's the initial premise I was given.
Okay, you're retarded. Okay, you don't.
Come on, man. I am not calling you names. I've never called you a single name on here. Why? Come on, you got to do ad hominem attacks when you get stuck in a corner, dude. Why you got to ad hominem attacks?
You're arguing nonsense.
It's a logical fallacy, you know. It's a logical fallacy.
What?
Hey, instead of ad-homing this,
I have not said I can prove my reasoning with. I've said I can prove my reasoning with deductive reasoning. That's a difference. Now I can say.
When doing deductive
I can say.
That's a look. You said I can.
You need to bring up a specific example. You need to bring up a specific example.
Listen. You said I can justify or validate my reasoning with deductive reasoning. Isn't that not begging the question? I'm using reasoning to justify my reasoning deductively.
How else? Right, well, explain to me how else would I? Explain to me how else would I?
God reveals
validate my reasoning without reasoning. I mean,
God reveals things to you and to me and every human being that we can know things for certain. That's how you validate it. But you're not wanting to do it. You're a tough shell to crack.
Well, that's just retarded.
Okay, since you can't know anything, and I can know things, God said
I don't think you can know
for your sins, and He rose again the third day to be able to save you from your sins. And if you would simply trust and believe on the Lord Jesus Christ, you could be saved from your sins. And He could give you validation for your own reasoning that you refuse to give God the glory for. But you can see right now, over the past conversation that we had right now, that you can't know anything to be true, and that's a problem. That's a problem. You ought to be able to validate your reasoning, and you can. You just don't want to give God the glory for it. Go ahead. You can have your say.
All right. I don't care about what you believe. You can believe in all the fairy tales you want. Right.
Validate your reasoning about that. You can't. Right. So everything you said is arbitrary.
I can bring up an analogy why it's retarded.
But you don't know what an analogy is because you don't have truth.
You don't. All right, I believe in it's just the classic example. I believe in the flying spaghetti monster. Prove me wrong.
Of course you do.
Use your reasoning.
Arbitrary. It's arbitrary. It means nothing.
Your God's arbitrary.
It's arbitrary. You've given up knowledge.
Your God's arbitrary.
You've already given up knowledge.
You're just being fallacious. You're being fallacious throughout.
I validated mine. Validate yours. You said it was not impossible for the Christian God. You conceded that possibility. Now I want you to justify and validate your reasoning, and you failed to do so.
No.
So if you don't,
I'll tell you right now. It is. I'll tell you right now. It is impossible for the Christian God. The thing that's written, your little book. I'm 99.9% sure.
But you don't know.
Believes that.
That's the point. You don't know.
You don't know. You don't know.
Look, if you can't know anything,
you think
you can't know what I know.
You brain dead? You brain dead?
If you can't know anything, you can't know what I know. You can't even know if I'm brain dead because you can't know anything. Remember? You gave up knowledge.
You're just being fallacious throughout this.
You said I could
Anyway,
be wrong
let's get
about
back to what I
everything I
wanted to
claim to
talk
know,
about.
and you're making all these claims that you could be wrong about, which means you don't know them. That's the point.
I don't care. I don't care if God exists or not. I care about you harming animals. That's what I'm interested in. That's what I know about. I don't know about all this. I don't care.
You don't know if I'm harming animals. And see,
yes, I do. You're paying someone to stab them.
Come on, you're giving all these truth claims that you don't know. Is that absolutely true?
Yes.
Absolutely true.
Yes.
Okay, what is truth? If it's absolutely true, what is truth?
Stop being fallacious.
This guy doesn't want to answer what truth is.
You know what truth is? Things that actually happen.
Okay, how do you know things actually happen? And that defines truth. You got to use your reasoning when doing that.
Because they happen in reality.
You got to use your reasoning when dealing with reality.
We observe them. We see them.
Okay,
therefore we know they happen.
Okay, so you know things. You have to use your reasoning when dealing with what you know and what you see. Yes or no? You have to use your reasoning.
Yes.
Okay, so how do you validate your reasoning?
What do you mean by that? Go on, just explain what you mean by that, because you keep trying to go into circles saying, well, you don't even know your reasoning because you don't even know if reality exists.
Because
and it's just retarded.
Your reasoning, you're
it's one of the most retarded arguments ever.
I'm showing you reasoning. I'm exposing your pre-commitment to God. Every time you open up your mouth and try to make a truth claim, you are proving the existence of God every time you open up your mouth. And that's what I'm exposing right here. Your pre-commitment to God. You keep trying to say something is true, but yet you invalidate your own self by your worldview. And I'm saying you don't live your life that way. You don't live your life that way. You live your life in my Christian worldview, but you don't want to give God the glory for your own reasoning. That's the point.
Yeah, no. You explain to me why something is written in an old book, therefore that makes it true.
But you can't know that.
No, let me finish. Explain to me why that, because something's written in an old book, that makes it true. But me seeing you pay someone to stab an animal, that doesn't make it true. You're an idiot.
Wait, you're dealing with moral truths, absolute truths. And I ask you, is it absolutely true?
Bisik, I'll debate you next on veganism.
Let me ask you this. Is truth absolute by definition?
What? Say it again.
It's a simple premise. Is truth absolute by definition?
Absolute in what? Truth itself.
Is truth absolute?
Absolute in truth. What do you mean by absolute?
Is truth absolute? Simply what I said. There's no tricks. It's truth absolute.
Absolute in what? Absolute in what?
The mechanism of truth, is it absolute? Is truth absolute?
Absolute in what? Its own truth. Then yes.
So you believe truth is absolute? Be careful.
Absolute in what?
Just the fact that just anything you say, if I can say something is true and you can say it's absolutely true, is that phenomenon in our reality today?
It exists, yes.
Okay, so how do you get a universal, unchanging, immaterial, abstract concept like absolute truth without God? You explain that one to me.
I'll say that one again.
Come on, man. I can just repeat myself.
Come on. Drinking all night and you're coming out.
Don't foul-mouth it. Don't foul-mouth it. You came on here to clown me, make fun of me, talk to me about animals and stuff, and now you're in a corner, man. Come on, don't act like that. Don't act like that.
Well, I'm in a corner because you're talking about stuff I don't know exactly what you're going on about.
It's called rational thinking. I'm not trying to trick you into anything. It's just rational thinking, man. You don't need to go to school for rational thinking.
Right. Well, I'm all for rational thinking. Yeah, sure, yeah. But
okay.
What you're saying is a little...
Is what? Come on, man. That's not... Come on, we're supposed to be reasoning right now, right? Does reasoning presuppose knowledge? Knowledge presupposes truth, and truth presupposes God. Now, if you say
That's
I don't
what
agree,
you think, yeah.
now if you say I don't agree with that, then what's the precondition for intelligibility?
Intelligibility.
What is the precondition? Why does intelligibility hold? What is the precondition?
I've not even heard of the word intelligibility. What do you want about intelligence?
So there's no intelligence in the universe.
No, we exist. We're intelligent beings.
So then you do agree with the premise: evidence presupposes knowledge, knowledge presupposes truth, and truth presupposes God.
No, I don't accept that.
You don't? Then give me what replaces God.
Why do I have to do that?
Because for the past, 30 minutes, we've been showing you, you showed us you can't know anything to be true. And that's the problem.
No, I gave it as a potential possibility, the same way I gave you a potential possibility that God exists. Now, that doesn't make me think that God exists or that I think that reality doesn't exist. You do realize that, don't you?
Is that absolutely
I'm just
true?
saying they're possible scenarios.
Is absolutely true what you said?
Is what?
What you just said, is that absolutely true?
What I just said is absolutely true.
Is it? I'm asking.
Why are you speaking like this? Why can't we just have a normal conversation? I'm not here to debate atheism with you.
Commitment to God every time you open up your mouth. That's what we're doing right now. I'm just exposing a pre-commitment to God. You rely on immaterial, unchanging concept called truth.
Normally. Speak normally.
What are you saying? Is it above your level to be rational? Is it above your level?
No, it's not. But I don't know what you're trying to communicate.
I'm asking you, how do you account for an immaterial, unchanging, universal concept like truth in your worldview? How do you do that? Because you're a naturalist, right? You believe in evolution. How do you account for a supernatural concept like truth? How do you account for that in your worldview?
Truth is not a supernatural concept.
Okay, show me 6 pounds of truth. Because you're a naturalist, so show me 6 pounds of truth. I'll pull some out of your refrigerator.
I've just licked this. That was true. My hair is a dark colour. That's true. My eyes are this colour. That's true. My teeth are that colour. That's true. My shirt is green. That's true. There you go.
But you have to use your reasoning when looking at those things, correct? Yes or no?
I use my subjective ability to observe things to make those things, to see that those things are true.
Yeah, and when judging your senses, your eyesight, your ears, your mouth, you got to use
senses, sensory,
Right. So how do you validate your reasoning? If you can't validate your reasoning, you can't know what truth is.
What about validating?
What?
Validate it by experiencing it. That is all the validation it needs.
Are you reasoning that out? Are you reasoning that out?
Yes. I experience it, therefore that is validated.
So you validate your reasoning with your reasoning, complete circle.
You're an idiot. Right, you can say, what exactly is your argument? You can say...
Well, guys, it's getting bogged down right now. It kind of normally turns into this when people can't validate their reasoning. So I just want to let you guys know I apologize for a foul...
I apologize as well. Here. I apologize as well, guys.
I appreciate that. I'm just trying to get you to reason out how do you validate and know anything, and this is the proof that God exists. That's what I'm exposing right here. The proof that God exists.
You can't prove that either.
That you already know that God exists. That's why things are true, and that's why.
That's a ridiculous claim.
Here's
the thing, though. I've been answering a lot of your questions, and then you're coming with your own conclusions to them. Now let me ask you some questions then, if you want to argue God.
I did answer your questions at the beginning.
No, but not about God. And you just brought in this retarded God.
That it was
God subject to me.
No, but you just.
And then you went to straw me and put conclusions in place.
Okay, hold on.
About this validation or reasoning cycle.
Right. I let you talk and I answered your question, so I asked some questions, and I think that was fair. So you might not have liked that conversation, but nevertheless, I conversated with you about that. And I would expect you to be reasonable about my side when I'm asking you questions, just like I was reasonable about your side when I asked you questions.
Yeah, but your side is lacking in any sort of reality.
What's that?
Your side is lacking in any sort of real reality. This is
not
about.
Using those words, are you? Come on, don't use those words.
You are believing in a fairy tale. You are the equivalent of a child believing in Santa Claus. And then you start trying to use all these
is that your
logical fallacies on me.
That's your rational argument against me right there? Really?
It's a comparison, yeah.
So this is how you come back when you can't justify your own reasoning. You come back with more.
I can justify my own reasoning. I have.
Nonsensical, man. Nonsensical.
I have justified my own reasoning.
How did you do it? With your reasoning, right?
How else would you?
You conceded it was not impossible for the Christian.
How else would you reason your reasoning?
I know them for certain.
No, come on.
And you conceded the possibility. And see, and I'm just exposing your pre-commitment to God every time you want to make.
I could concede the possibility of anything. Come on.
But you don't know that.
How else? No. Come on. How else can you reasoning? How else can you reason your reasoning? Come on, without your reasoning.
You just conceded the possibility that God can reveal things.
You've been using this argument against me.
I can know them for certain.
You've been using this argument against me.
You conceded
constantly.
I can see your frustration, but you can't get out of it. It is a non-stop loop. You've got to find a way that you probably won't find a way out.
Explain to me how you can use your reasoning without reasoning. It's one of the most retarded things I've ever heard. I apologize again, anyone offended by that.
No, you just proved it yourself. We exposed it right here. Everybody watched it. You justified your reasoning.
There you go. It'd be easy to explain to everyone, won't you?
But then you're sitting here making truth claims that you can't even know. Why are you even opening your mouth?
You're the one making truth claims. I'm the one who's saying there's possibilities to anything.
You just conceded that God can reveal things to me in such a way that I can know them for certain.
No, I did not. I said it's a possibility.
Right, I said that. You conceded the possibility. What I have is a possibility.
There's a little elf. There's a little. I mean, what does that prove?
Come on, man. Keep it anything. Clean. Little kids watch this, man. Come on. Just keep it clean. I understand you don't agree, and that's fine. I'm okay with anybody.
That was clean. I used perfectly fine words.
Come on, don't do that, man. Don't do that. Just keep it clean.
But all right, there could be there could be an elf, combing my back of my hair now, a visible elf.
But you have to reason that. You have to reason that. And if you can't know what truth is, you can't know what an elf is. You even got a problem with that. So it's nonsensical.
Without truth, you don't know. You don't know what God is.
See, you can't say that.
I can use whatever reasoning you want to use on me for my fairy tale, for your fairy tale.
You're wrong about everything you claim to know.
No, I said it's a possibility. The same way as a possibility your fairy tale is true.
So could you be wrong about everything you claim to know? Because you have to know everything about something to know, right?
I would say anyone can be wrong.
You're giving up knowledge just now.
I'd say anyone could be wrong.
Well, if you can't know anything, you can't know what I know. That's my comeback for that. Really easy. See, if you can't know anything, you definitely can't know what I know. So you can't say everybody. You got to say you. So you can't know anything. I can know things.
Well, I can reason. I can reason why anyone can be wrong.
Okay. How do you reason?
Because we could be living in a simulation.
How do you reason the fact that you can reason?
How can I reason that I can reason? Because I can reason.
Because you're using your reasoning, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So how do you reason about anything to be true?
Again, with deductive reasoning.
So you justify your
with examples, using the scientific method, using experiences, using.
You could be wrong. You could be wrong about this experience.
Anyone can be wrong about anything. Anyone can be wrong about anything.
Well, you can't know anything.
this is circular. This has been circular now for a while. I don't care if you think God exists.
You don't see the problem with circularity.
No. Well,
why are you frustrated with it?
I'm frustrated because you. No,
Wow.
I suppose I'm slightly frustrated at you because you keep trying to like propose that you've got one up on me and then laughing.
I'm laughing because you don't live your life that way. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing because I know you don't live your life that way. You live your life in my worldview, but you don't want to give God any glory. That's what I'm laughing about. You don't want to acknowledge God to validate your reasoning.
Prove to me God exists, so we give glory. What a weirdo he is.
That without God,
if God exists, you think he cares about what you do?
The proof that God exists, that without God, you can't prove anything. I said it before.
I don't care. Now let's get back to the original subject. I don't care if God exists or not.
Well,
I couldn't care less.
The reason why we can't change the subject, if you can't reason validly, then certainly anything that comes out of your mouth is valid.
What an insult that is to me. Of course I can.
Can you reason validly?
Yes.
Okay.
My reasoning is extremely valid.
This question will determine whether we can move on a different topic. Okay? Now, would you agree that there's people that are in the world that have invalid reasoning? I mean, like people that have brain deficiencies, people that are vegetables that get in car accidents, that have brain deficiencies.
Yeah, I'll see that. I can see that, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. How do you know you're not one of those people?
I suppose that's a good question. I just don't think I am. I suppose
you couldn't reason it out. I mean, if you didn't have valid reason, you couldn't reason out if you were one of those people. That's the point, right?
What? If I couldn't reason it out, I couldn't say it again. Go on.
If you had invalid reasoning, you couldn't know it. That's the point. You couldn't reason out that you had invalid reasoning if you have invalid reasoning.
Right,
How do you know you're not one of those people?
How do I know I'm not one of those people? Because I can reason that I'm not.
Exactly. That's my point. So you can't know.
That's your point.
So you can't know. It's the point.
I can't know what? I can't know
that
what?
You have valid reasoning. You can't know you have valid reasoning.
Well, then I could just put the same argument to you.
You just
put the same argument to you.
No, you can't. You can't know it. Because remember, you just conceded.
You can't know it. You can't know it just because it's written in our own book.
You can't reason about anything that I'm
That's
doing.
Like one of that's more retarded than I've ever. That's the more retarded argument I've ever heard. You can't know it because you think it's a possibility you don't exist. Well, then I can say, well, you don't know it because you believe in an old. You believe.
You conceded the possibility that God reveals things to me.
And I've conceded the possibility there's a little leprechaun on my head giving me a massage. What you on about?
Yeah, but you can't know that. You can't know that.
I can't know what you know. I can't know what you think you know. And you can't know
if you're one of those people that are invalidly reasoning.
Neither do you.
Yes, I do. You conceded the possibility that God reveals things to me in such a way.
No, don't give me that. No. Let me interrogate you about it.
Don't.
Sorry again. I apologize.
On here, please.
I apologize. Sorry. Let me interrogate you about it. All right. How do you know? How do you don't know?
What's that?
How do you not know you're off your bonnet? Because I think there's a lot more evidence you're off your bonnet, mate.
Say it again. Rephrase it for me because I didn't understand it.
Oh, I'm probably using colloquial English. How do you not know you're mentally ill?
How do I not know?
Mm-hmm.
Because God has revealed it to me in such a way I can know them for certain.
Okay, well then, to me that just sounds like, well, because my imaginary friend tells me the truth. Now that sounds like someone who is severely mentally ill to me.
But is it absolutely true? And you can't say it's absolutely true if you don't even know if your reasoning is valid. And so everything you just said is arbitrary. Everything you just said is you defeated your whole argument when you denied truth. When you denied
deny truth.
Oh, yes,
I didn't deny any truth.
Because you said you could be wrong about everything you claim to know, including truth. When you said everything,
I said everyone
that
can
includes
be.
truth.
Everyone can be.
Well, you can
Not just me.
say that about yourself, but you can't say that about me because you don't know me. You don't know anything about me. You said you could be wrong about everything you claim to know, so you can't know what I know.
So I can have an opinion on me. I can have an opinion on. You can't use that opinion as some sort of fact to debunk everything I say.
I didn't give up knowledge. You've given up knowledge. I never gave up.
I didn't give up anything.
You did. When you said I could be wrong about everything I claim to know, you've given up knowledge.
I expressed a possibility. That's completely different.
But you don't even know if you're living in the right reality. So if you don't know if you're in the right reality,
I'm pretty sure I am.
Well, I didn't ask that. Do you know you're living in the right reality? Do you know 100% certain?
Almost certainly.
No, I didn't ask almost because you're giving up knowledge again. So you don't know what's true.
Just because you don't know, that doesn't make an argument. Just because you think no, it doesn't. Just because you think you know. No, look, just because you think you know, you live in reality.
Agree? It's funny though. You gotta agree, it's funny because you can't. Everything you're saying, you don't even know it's true.
You know what's funny is because you're too stupid to understand the terrible arguments you're making.
I'm not calling you that kind of stuff.
No, you're just laughing at like my responses before I say them.
No, I'm saying it's because you're making truth claims, and I'm like, and I ask you, how do you know those truth claims? You say you could be wrong about everything you claim to know. So everything you're saying defeats your whole argument. That's what's funny.
No. Here's the thing, though. I was about to explain then, but you interrupted me and I lost my thought. Right, you don't know. Right, me saying whatever is irrelevant to what you think. Yeah, you saying whatever. You basically saying, well, I believe this. And I don't believe that there's a possibility I'm wrong. And I'm me saying, well, I think there's a possibility that everyone's wrong, including myself. Now, that isn't an argument that, therefore, I've given up some sort of position to say, oh, well, you think you could be wrong, so therefore you are. Now, if that's not a fallacious argument, then I don't know what is. I mean, that's probably the height of fallacious arguments.
Is that absolutely true?
Well, again, I don't think anyone knows what is absolutely true regarding to supernatural beings that could or could not have created the universe.
So you could be wrong about everything you just said.
I think you could be wrong about everything you said.
Well, that's fine, but you can't know it.
Well, you can't know it.
Well, you can't know what I know if you can't know anything.
You can't know what I know.
Well, you conceded the possibility that God has revealed things to me in such a way I can know them.
I've considered the possibility that there's a little elf giving me a massage on the back of my neck. It's irrelevant.
You know what? That's the absurdity of your worldview. You could possibly actually believe that.
No, I don't believe that.
Your own reasoning.
I don't believe that.
I can validate my reasoning.
An idiot. I can't believe it.
You're the one that set yourself up for that one, buddy. I didn't tell you to say that.
No.
You believe little elves running around over there?
No. That's the whole point. That's the whole point. I'm making your position seem as absurd as it is. And you don't realize that.
It's not. Because everything you say, you're undermining because you can't know those things to be true. I could say you could be wrong about what you just said, and you'd have to agree. So you don't know anything. I'm just going with what you're saying, that's all.
No. But I can use whatever your argument you're using against me to you. Well, then
You can't use the same argument because I've given a possibility for the validation of my reason.
It's just it's a telling on your intelligence that you don't think you can be wrong on anything. I mean...
I didn't say I'm not wrong about anything. I'm just saying there are things that I can know that are certain. And God's established that truth within every human being, including you. That's why I'm just exposing your pre-commitment to God. That's all I'm doing.
Okay. Here's the thing. You kind of put me in like certain traps here. Now, I don't think there's certain things that you can't tell that aren't certain. I'm pretty sure when you pay someone to stab an animal in the neck, that has happened. Now, whether that has happened in a simulation, in like your mind only or my mind only, now that's a different debate.
Was
that a bit much for you, mate? Was that a bit much?
Do you believe that you're living in reality.
I think so, yes.
No, I didn't ask if you think. Are you living 100% absolutely true in the right reality?
I've already explained it. I don't... No one knows if they're living in a simulation or not.
Okay, so
I mean,
truth corresponds
because
to
you're
reality.
religious. Because you're religious, you don't actually think about things in this abstract thought. Everything's thought out already for you.
But you're conceding the very demise of everything you're saying right now. When you say you could be wrong about the reality, if truth corresponds to reality, truth is what's real, and you don't know you're living in the right reality 100% sure, you can't know what truth is. It absolutely follows. So
no, it's a fallacious argument.
Then well, disprove it.
Okay, well, just because I think there's a possibility I might be living in a simulation, in this reality I'm living, in this simulation, everything is existing in my subjective view. So therefore, I can answer everything because I believe I'm not living in a simulation. I just believe it could be a possibility. The same way I think your, Sky Wizard could be a possibility, right? So I can answer any question you want. So you can't just say everything you say is debunked because you don't even know if you're living in reality. Because that is an absurd as me saying your God exists. Oh no, I reject both of those things, but I accept them as possibilities as among as many. Now, here's the thing: you've not even let me express that opinion, and every time I've had a chance to speak, you've laughed me off. Now, tell me why it is absurd.
Well, you're making truth claims right now. You're making truth claims. I'm asking, is that absolutely true? You said nothing is absolutely true, so everything you say is undermined.
No, only to you.
Everything you just said is undermined.
Only to you.
You've given up knowledge, you've given up reality, you've given up truth. You just undermined your whole argument, you've given up knowledge, you have no epistemology.
All right. God exists. God exists. He doesn't want you to kill animals. I've had enough of this. God exists. He doesn't want you to kill animals. I don't care. Tell me why he wants you to kill animals.
Well, you can't know if he wants me to kill animals, so it doesn't matter. It's arbitrary.
All right, no, you've changed your mind. I'm living in your reality. I've had enough of this argument. It's a fallacious argument.
About an animal or a man that was likened to an animal that died on the cross for your sins. He's called the Lamb of God, which taketh away the sin of the world. And he died on the cross for your sins and rose again the third day because he loves you.
Tell me why he wants you to stab animals.
And he's put intrinsic value inside of you. He loves you that much.
Tell me why he wants you to stab animals.
Go ahead. I want you to consider trusting in him and believing on him for the salvation of your soul. Are you open-minded?
Sure, yeah, I am. No, yeah, I believe, yeah. Tell me why he wants you to kill animals.
Well, according to you, it really wouldn't matter if I gave you the answer because you couldn't know it if I told it to you.
No, you've convinced me I'm living in this reality. God exists, all that. Well, tell me why he wants you to kill animals.
So you're telling me in order for you to understand my question, you have to believe in my worldview, right?
No.
So you folded. So are you folding? You backslid your worldview?
For me to continue this conversation with you, because you come across as an autistic religious tard, I have to.
Come on, really?
To be religious.
Then what you're saying is that it doesn't matter if you reason invalidly, right? It doesn't matter.
My reasoning was not invalid.
No, I'm asking you. You're saying it's okay to reason invalidly. So then why would you be against anything that I believe or say? If it's okay to reason invalidly.
Well, here's the thing. Everything you believe and say was just wrote in a book. And that's not good justification to believe in anything.
Invalidity of reasoning is okay in your worldview. You just acknowledge that. So why are you trying to try me by a standard of validity now? Or non-contradiction? You can't try me by those. You can't account for those. So what's the difference?
What are you on about?
You're trying to try me by a standard of morality right now. How about I is wrong.
No. Right. How about I say something and then you respond to that and not you go on contingent. That had nothing to do with
Be
it.
respectful. Be respectful.
Sorry again. I apologise. I've done that too many times now. I'll try not to do it again. I do apologise. I am sincere about that as well.
Okay.
I'll put an effort. I mean, I've been drinking all night. Sorry, it's just the way I speak. I really do apologise. I know I'm not doing it on purpose. I will definitely try not to do it now. I've got my non-swearing.
I've got about 5 more minutes. So
Okay.
Just make it good, man. Make it good.
Okay. So. Okay. Let's just say God exists. Everything you believe is right. Yeah.
Okay.
Everything in the Bible is 100% right. Okay. Now, if everything in the Bible is 100% right, I mean, how much do you take into the Old Testament? How much credence do you take into that?
I believe the Bible to the inspired, preserved Word of God.
Which version?
King James Bible.
So the one that was written a couple thousand years later?
No, the translation of a translation of a translation of a translation of a translation.
Okay. Well, my main issue is, right, let's just put the Bible aside. Let's just say I believe in God, because I don't want to get into that. I mean, I wasn't prepared to come into and debate atheism with you. You know, it's not my forte. I've not thought about that since I was a little kid, because, you know, people grow up and forget fairy tales and, you know, forget Santa Claus and all that. But
okay, I'm taking it as respect. I'll take it. Go ahead, keep going.
So we can see when we cause harm to animals that they experience that harm. Yeah. Like, why? The only reason, like, we should not harm other beings is because they have the capacity to be harmed.
Say one more time. I was looking at some of
the only reason we should not harm other beings is because they have the capacity to be harmed, to experience suffering.
Are you asking me that question, or are you assuming?
No, I'm saying that as a truth.
Okay.
Don't go on saying you don't know what truth is again, because that's annoying.
Well, I can, and I would be justified in doing so.
Don't.
You know I'm justified.
It won't be justified.
Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to let you step in my worldview. I'm going to allow you in. I normally don't let people in, but I'll allow you to be able to have valid reasoning for a little bit. Then we'll cut it off. You know, if it gets ridiculous, I'll cut it off. Okay? So you can have valid reasoning just for a little bit. So here's the idea. Killing is wrong because God says so, not because a subjective man says so. That's why killing is wrong. And I mean killing another human being.
You see, but the reason why I don't accept that reasoning is because what if God said it wasn't? Would that make it okay?
Well,
that doesn't make any sense to me.
No, it's Euthyphro's dilemma. We don't. That's not even valid to the Bible, because the Bible's complete. Revelation 22:18 and 19. That could never be a possibility. It's a hypothetical impossibility.
We don't accept things that are wrote in books as good justifications to do things to others.
You accept things all the time in books. You accepted your alphabet. You accepted speaking a 13th century language.
That's different. That doesn't.
No. You received that. You received that by blind faith. You didn't have to ask.
Can I say why?
I'm answering.
Can I say why it's different?
You didn't have to receive that with all the evidences that you require from Christianity. You believed all that by faith. Same thing with your evolution. You didn't require all the evidences of evolution in order to believe it the way you do.
Yes, it did.
You blindly believed it.
No. There's loads of evidence for evolution.
There is no evidence. It's a theory.
There's crazy amount. My mustache is too long. It's covering my teeth. A theory in the scientific terms is basically the theory of gravity. It exists.
No, I don't call it theory of gravity. When I talk to people about gravity, I say, hey, look at gravity. I don't say, look at the theory of gravity.
In the scientific terms, it's called the theory of gravity. The same way the scientific terms, it's the theory of evolution.
So you have a theory.
In fact, it should be called the fact of evolution at this point.
Okay.
But anyway, just because something's wrote in a book doesn't mean, like, I could pull up a book that's contrary to your book, and in that book it says the opposite of your book. Now, would you accept the reasoning of my book to do things the opposite in your book?
Absolutely not, because your book isn't revelation of God.
Well, I could say, well, your book's not the revelation of God. This isn't good reasoning.
Oh, well, remember, watch
it's
out.
It's not a good argument.
You're stepping on your own toes when you talk about valid reasoning, okay?
No, but, don't go there again, because
that's where you're going. That's where you're going. So I'm just telling you.
Because you're going to say I don't know what's what.
I can go there. I can go there if I want to.
It's stupid. Don't say I don't know what's what.
Get out of it. That's why. So here's the idea.
Well, you don't know what's what.
God has proved himself. Okay. Before I go down that road. You were talking about believing a book written by man. But you believe books written by man?
No. Another God. Zeus.
You believe books written by men every day. That's hypocrisy. Don't you see that?
I believe in truth. I don't believe in fiction. Your book's fiction.
Okay. Did you read it?
No. I've read bits of it.
Okay, so how are you, being an open-minded, rational, reasonable person, objectively stating that the book is fiction, having only read certain things out of it, and being this objective as you are about it?
Because I don't believe in supernatural fairy tales.
Okay, so blind faith, you don't believe it. By blind faith, you don't believe it. It's not through rational reasoning. You just simply don't believe it through blind faith.
Tell me why Goku isn't real.
I'm asking you, how come you can be objective about something you've never read? Care to answer?
Because I know enough about it. I know enough about it to know that it's a supernatural fiction.
Now, I'm not going to go to the presupposition apologetic here, but certainly, if you haven't read it, just based on that standard, I'm letting you into my worldview. You couldn't say.
Again, any vegans that are watching now, this is why you don't debate veganism with Christians, because they fall back on this ancient book that is just. Yeah, that is just a ridiculous justification to do anything. Now, my ancient book says I can do X, therefore I'll do X.
How much evidence did it take for you to believe that book that you have, that ancient book you have?
Oh, well, it's as much as yours.
No, how much evidence? No, I want to know how much empirical evidence.
Well, hypothetically, as much as yours.
No, that's not an answer. I want to know how much.
It is an answer.
It's not an answer. So you don't know. You don't know how much evidence it took you to believe that.
It's a hypothetical. I know you struggle with hypotheticals. We've already established this early on.
Okay, so you were using a straw man argument.
No, I'm not. As an analogy?
Yeah, we're pretty much done. I mean, you didn't validate your reasoning, and I proved that God exists. You just don't care to believe on him. And that's
how can you prove a supernatural creature exists?
We expose your pre-commitment to God by knowing things and making truth claims. And we did that already. And again, I'm not appealing to you what you believe to be true. I'm appealing to what you already know to be true. And you know that God exists. And we just exposed that in the past hours.
I don't know God exists. You don't know God exists. You're just a delusional fool that believes it because you read it in a book, and you're indoctrinated. You're indoctrinated. Similar to Carnist, guy. Everyone listening. So there's two main. there's two main indoctrinations in the world, and it's religion, and then
there's too many indoctrinations.
There's two main indoctrinations in the world, and there's carnism and there's religion. And people are yeah, it's absolutely true. People are born and then raised to believe in things, and so carnism is the belief that you can cause harm to other animals and eat it without any.
If you can prove it, and we just proved the reality right here, and so possibility.
You haven't proved possibility. You haven't proved nothing.
Actuality.
If you think you've proved anything, you're off your bonnet. Off your bonnet. You haven't proved anything.
Bohan, I thank you for joining me on this scope. Thank you for trying your best to be rational and reasonable on here, attempting to show respect, and I do appreciate that. And thank you again, Bohan. I hope to see you soon on here, and maybe we can come up with better terms. Maybe be more prepared next time, and maybe we can discuss the preparation of what we talked about.
Don't stab animals, guys. There's no good justification to do it. Just because it says it in your old book, that's not a good reason to do anything. I've got an old book here that says, but hypothetically, I've got an old book that says what's your name?
Oh, we're about getting off there, Bohan. I'm just kind of wrapping it up a little bit. I'm just letting you have your say at the end.
Oh, well, I've got a hypothetical book that says it's okay for me to do X to Edward, is it? Therefore, it's okay to do X to Edward, and if you say any different, and then I'm gonna ask you, do you believe in reality? And then if you say you're not sure, then I'm gonna invalidate every opinion you have because you said you're not sure. Therefore, my old book is right. That's essentially your argument.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Bohan, for getting on here. Yeah, it was a great stuff, man. We were going back and forth. I think it was pretty healthy. I mean, disagreements are natural, but certainly we can try our best to come to rational conclusions and stuff. And we may not have topped it 110%, but I think we did fairly good. Drew some interest on here. A lot of people joined. I mean, maybe not as much as most programs, but we still had a few people in here. So I thank you, Bohan, for being on here, being patient, and in some cases respectable. But you have a good night.
I do apologize. I do apologize for my swearing.
Thank you, Bohan, for getting on with me here. Come on later on, okay? Don't be a stranger.
No, I will. But let's not talk about religion, Let's talk about reality.
Well, that's kind of what I do there, Bohan. But I do appreciate you. If I'm on another topic or something, maybe, but I'm rarely on another topic. Okay. So thank you, Bohan, for getting on.